Welcome to the People Sports Podcast. My name is Mark Titus. Her name is Charlotte Wilder. She's got a sly smile going right now. She's got a mischievous, dare I say, smile on her face. For those of you who aren't watching and are listening, something is on your mind, Charlotte. What is it?
It is, Mark, and what's on my mind is that I think this feels like it's going to be a subversive episode. I am feeling mischievous, and I think that we might ruffle some feathers, but I also think we might make a lot of people really happy with what we're about to talk about.
Okay, so there you have it. You're either going to be happy or you're not going to be happy. That's it. What are we talking about? So let's as we traditionally do on this show, let's go through a process of elimination.
All right.
And figure out what we don't want to talk about. And one thing I certainly don't want to talk about, and I'm sure you don't either as a Patriots fan, is your team owner getting a $200,000 Bentley from Meek Mill and Jay-Z. And then, which already kind of embarrassing that Robert Kraft was pretending to be like a Make-A-Wish kid when he got a billionaire got this expensive ass car. Low key, the most embarrassing thing about it all, Charlotte, was he said, "How the fudge did you guys get this?" He said that phrase. He said, "How the fudge?" Yes. So
Mark, the amount
we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, the amount that I don't want to talk about this is to the point that I haven't even watched the video. I haven't read anything about it. I was like, they already put me through a lot, the Patriots, in the last year and a half. And so I would like to ignore this one.
Okay.
Let's bring up instead, do you remember how Robert Kraft flew a bunch of PPE supplies in from China at the start of the pandemic on the Patriots plane?
Oh, that's right. Yes.
What a good guy he is.
Yes, what a great man. What a great, he's done, never mind. I was going to make a obvious Robert Kraft joke that probably doesn't need to be made. We
can say a lot of things about Robert Kraft, but one thing, have you ever, the one thing I will say about this, Mark, is have you ever heard of someone getting something he needed less from someone who had less to lose by giving it to him?
It's preposterous. The whole deal is, I mean, the headline might as well said like Elon Musk buys Jeff Bezos a rocket.
Yeah.
They're like, cool, man.
You're like, sick. You already have one. Like, that would be like you and me trading crew neck college sweatshirts. I'd be like, hey, I got you an Ohio State crew neck. And you'd be like, cool, I got you a Colby crew neck. And we'd be like, sick. Couldn't have bought this myself. Didn't already have it.
And then we filmed the whole reaction and we rub it in everyone's face that desperately wants those crew necks and can't have them. And
yes. It's also really embarrassing that last thing I'll say that we're not going to talk about, it's really embarrassing to have like an old white guy like Robert Kraft be like, oh, look how hip and cool I am in my Air Force Ones and my cool Bentley that rappers got me. It's like, are they trolling him? Like, are they trying to make him think that he's in a club so that he gets excited about it and says stuff that's like embarrassing?
This is a great question. This is a great point. I didn't think about that they're all just like laughing behind his back. Like, dude, this dude thinks did you see him say how the fudge? Did you get that? What a goober. But that's an expensive troll. That's an expensive way to.
That's true. That's true. But, you know, it's probably comparable to me buying you a crew neck. So it depends your relevance. Anyway, so let's not talk about that. Is there something else that you don't want to talk about?
I definitely don't. I feel like it's too soon to talk about this. We can talk about it eventually, but it's way too soon. That Aaron Rodgers has not reported to minicamp, to mandatory minicamp, and the Packers could fine him up to $93,000 for not reporting to minicamp. But I feel like it's a little soon. I feel like we got to see where this story goes before we really spend any time diving in on it. That Aaron Rodgers may or may not be retired, and I don't think it's right for you and I to speculate on what he's doing with his life. I just don't think that is something we should do.
Well, that's something we would never do. We've never done. We never will do. Yes, I agree with you. I think that first of all, this is too much of a content goldmine for us to waste on like the beginning part of a show. You know, like there's going to come a time this summer, maybe this fall, when we are going to have to do an entire show on Aaron Rodgers That time is not yet.
Yeah.
The I do have one thing I want to say real quick about this is that at the park this weekend, I was sitting on a bench and there was a guy with a dog, and the dog he was an older man. He was probably like in his 60s. This dog was adorable and came up to me without my asking the dog to come up to me and put his head on my lap. And I just melted. I was like, oh my God, so of course I got to ask the dog's name. And I said, what's his name? The guy goes, Lambo. And I said, oh, you're a Packers fan. And he was like, yeah, most kids think it's after Lamborghini. And I was like, oh, well, I'm in the crew neck sweatshirt frame of mind. So I was like, no, I immediately thought of the Packers. And he, for 20 minutes, talked to me about how selfish Aaron Rodgers is being. And he went, all this man wanted was someone to talk to about, he was like, well, what other team does he think he's going to win a championship? Like, what else is he waiting for? Like, they gave him more money. And I, I never said once, like, I do this for a living. I just knew the stats of everything he was talking about, which at a certain point he started looking at me funny, being like, but I did not make it about me. I was just like, as in sports media, I think you see enough of this stuff that you start to think, well, hey, from the player's point of view, the GM really did cut him out of stuff, and it felt, it's what we've talked about. And so I brought that up, and he goes, no. I mean, he could ask for more money, and does he really think that he's going to win a Super Bowl with any other team? Like, at this point, what is he doing to fans? And I was like, yeah, man, he does think that. He
definitely does believe that he could win a Super Bowl with basically any other team. I think you could put Aaron Rodgers on just about any team, and they're not necessarily Super Bowl favorites immediately, but they are up there.
They've got a good shot.
They got a good shot. It would, if you put Aaron Rodgers on the worst team, and then if he took over for the Jets, well, that's a bad example.
Yeah, I'm like, don't say Jaguars or Jets.
Okay, all right. So I get what he's saying. So if that's what the guy's point of view was like, does he think he's going to take over for the Jets? Then I understand this man with the dog named Lambo. Don't bring Lambo into it either. Like, now you're naming your dog this. You're his owner. Now all of a sudden I feel like this dog has to answer for his owner's horrible sports takes, and that's just not fair to the dog, because the dog seems like a sweet dog based on what you've told me about this dog.
Yeah, it was one of the sweetest strange dogs I've ever met. And it was interesting to me, though, because I think that I didn't realize how angry some Packers fans are, because I've seen a lot of Packers fans on Aaron's side, but it turns out that there are a lot of people who aren't. Yeah. So we'll save that for our next Aaron Rodgers episode, but I did want to bring that up.
Well, it's interesting you talk about him being angry, because I think that's what we want to talk about today, is just this general vibe. We kind of touched on it last week before we were we had the news bomb of Coach K and Brad Stevens that kind of shook up our plan, but there's a where would you say we are? How long has it been since a vaccine rollout has kind of happened? I know we've had the vaccine for a while, but like, where fans started showing up at games again and things felt quote unquote normal, which is a phrase that is like, everyone rolls their eyes when you hear that now, because like, we've been talking about things getting back to normal for forever, and I don't think things ever, what does that even mean anymore? Whatever.
Right.
But where you could turn on a television and watch a sporting event and not have it immediately jump out to you as like, whoa, this is weird. These are weird times. Like, it was it been a month or so, would you say?
Mark, are you asking me how long have we been back for?
How long have we been back? It was Memorial Day, wasn't it? It's been like,
no,
like
I
2
think
weeks.
I feel like the NBA playoffs marked, and NHL playoffs, which we will get to a little later. Like, I feel like those two sporting events kind of marked the start of things being normal in some semblance. Sports are once again resembling something like what we used to see.
Right. Okay. So with that, the initial big picture macro discussions right out of the gate when fans started coming back were the fan behaviors. This is we touched on it last week. It's been talked about ad nauseum at the start of the NBA playoffs of all the incidents with fans at the NBA playoffs. And it wasn't just the NBA playoffs. It's if you turn on any random baseball game and there's probably two drunk dudes punching each other in the bleachers somewhere.
Right.
Like, fan behavior has been a big talking point. But what has become interesting to me, Charlotte, is that it's not just like fans acting out in terms of these isolated incidents. What has become interesting to me is that since sports have come back in earnest, it feels like a lot of just our viewing habits as a whole, not even as like me as a fan of the team I like, but me as a fan of sports, watching the bigger picture of sports, whatever the hot game or match or what have you is. It seems like, and I don't mean to paint with a broad brush, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like fans are by and large right now motivated by hatred, for lack of a better term. Like if and I come to this conclusion based on the Brooklyn Nets are the team in the NBA right now. They are destroying everybody. I think their odds have to win the title are now like it's basically a 50-50 shot for Brooklyn to win the title, which is insane given that there are 8 teams left and they're only 2 games into their series with Milwaukee. They have not played a road game yet in this series with Milwaukee. They played tonight, by the way. We're recording this before they play, so they might be up 3-0 to those of you listening, but whatever. Point is, the Nets are heavy favorites to win the title, and everybody hates the Nets. Everybody hates how this team came about. Everybody hates what they stand for, which is not much of anything. There's like zero culture to the franchise. They up and moved from New Jersey to Brooklyn and tried to pretend like it's the same metropolitan area, and everyone from Jersey is like, absolutely not. And everyone from Brooklyn is like, we are Knicks fans, so what is this doing here? Like, I'll go to the games, I guess, but like, this is all weird. So there's the Nets. There is Bryson DeChambeau, who I love and I talk about constantly on this show, but at the same time, I love him because of how much I hate him. And just the Bryson DeChambeau Brooks Koepka situation, we'll call it, that is slowly unfolding and seems to be no end in sight. That has dominated golf to the point that Phil Mickelson wins the PGA Championship, and that was a fun story for like a day. And then we go back to like the video of Brooks Koepka having Bryson DeChambeau walk by, and then everyone's like, "Ooh, forget Phil. Let's go back to this. Let's talk about how much these guys hate each other and how funny that is." And like that becomes that's like, if you ask what the big story in golf is right now, it's hatred. It's based on like the hatred of these guys. The big story in the NBA right now, hatred. The big story in for God's sakes, like just sports at large, was Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather. They're fighting each other, which was a matchup that was like just 2 of the biggest trolls we've ever seen. Not just in sports and society at large, getting together, and Floyd Mayweather literally saying, "I'm here to legally to legally pull off a bank robbery." Like he's leading up to the fight, he's basically showing his hand. He's telling everybody, "This is stupid. You should not buy this fight, but you all are going to because you hate both of us, and you're going to buy this because everyone out there wants to watch one of us get their ass kicked, probably both of us. And you're going to buy the fight, and I'm going to dance around, and Logan Paul is going to lean on me. And you're going to, at the end of the night, look at your friend and be like, how the hell did you make me spend $50 on this garbage?" And
especially when the stream crashed.
Yes. So there's Trae Young. I didn't even talk about Trae Young in the NBA. When you're talking, like, the Nets are obviously the big story as a team, but then like individually, Trae Young being hated by the Knicks fans, and now he's playing against Philly, and like the Philly fans are losing their mind, and everybody hates Trae Young, and Trae Young loves that they hate him, and he hates you back, and it's like, I don't know. So I have been fascinated by this, that like there is so much hatred. And this is nothing new. Fans of like rivalries have existed forever, and fans have the word fan is short for fanatic, and we know this, but I just find it interesting that the theme of basically everything, other than Phil winning the PGA Championship and like Elio Castroneves winning the Indy 500, which was like a fun moment for those of us who follow that. It's basically been, for God's sakes, the Kentucky Derby was Bob Baffert cheating.
My God,
and we were all like, screw this guy, and throwing up middle fingers at horses. And like, Bob Baffert's like, the horse did nothing wrong. We're like, we know, Bob. We know the horse did nothing wrong. You did, you asshole. Like, this is what sports have become. And we waited so long for things to quote unquote go back to normal, and then now they're normal. And my question to you, Charlotte, is: are they normal? Like, did I forget? Like, was this how we were fueled, just like to hate everything at all times?
I wish I had an answer for you, Mark. First of all, that was an unbelievable description of everything. I was sitting here wrapped, and as you kept going, I was like, oh my God, you like it just builds on itself. Like the minute you think of one thing, then you think of another thing. And I guess part of me feels like, maybe we all came out of this a little like we all just came out of it swinging. Like everyone, it's it's like you put a blindfold on everyone and open the door, and everyone just started like swinging at each other because you got pent up aggression.
Yeah.
But I think that we need to kind of go through these one by one, and I would love to start with the Nets. There's also someone you didn't mention. Well, first of all, you've got the characters on the Nets. You've got KD, you've got Kyrie, you've got Harden, you've got Blake Griffin, who is someone who was trending recently that I would like to get into. Believe it or not, people listening, we have some statistics to back up what we're going to talk about with Blake Griffin. But I need to address the elephant in the room, which is that Knicks fans are livid with me.
Nets fans.
Sorry. Whoa.
Yeah, yeah.
Knicks fans are probably fine with me. They're also probably like, why are you at this party? And I'm like, I couldn't tell you. But okay, let me start that over. Nets fans are livid with me, Mark, because I went to game 2. Because as you said, who is this for? The team picked up, they show up in 2012. They've gone through multiple ownership changes. They have had multiple identities, if any. They have sucked for the entire time they've been here until this year. KD, Kyrie, and Harden played together in the regular season in 2021 for 5%. They were on the floor during Nets games together at the same time for 5% of the time that the Nets were playing basketball. We have just given them the odds to win because it was sort of sight unseen, like, well, these guys are good. Turns out we were right. They are good. These are guys who have ruffled feathers. Pete, they're already villains in the NBA. They team up to come to a place where basketball fans are like, I'm sorry, what? Like, we already have a basketball team and it's the Knicks. New Jersey Nets fans, it is impossible to be a Brooklyn Nets lifelong fan because unless you're 8 years old, you are older than they are. You could be a lifelong New Jersey Nets fan turned Brooklyn Nets fan. That's still a thing. But the truth of the matter is that if you go to any arena in sports, if you go to Atlanta, if you go to Philly, if you go to, even Arizona right now, if you go to Phoenix, like the atmosphere at those games is so different from Barclays. Barclays got loud, don't get me wrong, but you're still kind of like, who's going to these? Because, so I went and I tried to find out and I talked to a bunch of people. Multiple people told me that they were like, I was like, are you a Nets fan? And they were like, and got like a little embarrassed and they're like, I'm a basketball fan. I'd say like a lot of people I saw there were not wearing Nets jerseys. I asked one guy buying a Nets jersey why he came to the game not wearing one, why he bought it there. And he goes, I'm not really into sports. Like there were a bunch of guys standing around charging a phone. There were probably 8 of them. One was wearing a Nets jersey. And I asked the others, I was like, why are you here? And they literally shrugged. And you could get tickets on Monday morning. You could get Nets tickets. Not Hot 97, the radio station in New York, ran a promotion. You could pay $9 if you were one of the first 97 people. Like so Nets fans who are mad at me, they're saying you've clearly never been to a game. You've never talked to Nets fans. First of all, I did another piece in April earlier when I talked to people who were lifelong New Jersey Nets fans who are psyched about the team. I know you guys are out there.
But how can you be a lifelong fan if you're that doesn't compute to me because like if you cheer for the New Jersey Nets and they just the sheer act of cheering for a team when they up and leave and move to another location, and I think the argument that people that support the Nets or these lifelong people are saying is it's all the same metropolitan area, but it's kind of like, it reminds me of the closest analogy I can think of is the Chargers doing it from moving to San Diego to LA and just being like, well, it's Southern California, it's all the same. It's not. Like if I lived in San Diego, I'd be pissed off. I'd be like, that's not LA. We're San Diego, we're not LA. And that's how a lot of people feel because San Diego is not LA. I could say that. Like I lived in the Midwest my entire life. I envisioned Southern California all the same. I thought the Anaheim Angels were in Los Angeles. I thought it was like all the same. It's like all Southern. Who cares? It's all like one, it's just throw it all in one whatever. It is not the same, Charlotte. And if I was like a San Diego guy through and through, and I love my skateboard and my tacos and whatever the hell else they got going on down there. And Blink 182 and all that. And that was what I was about. And my football team moved up north to those idiots in LA. Like I wouldn't be like, well, they're still down the road. I could still go to I used to go to 8 home games a year. What if I just go to 2 or 3? I'll still be a fan. We could make a weekend of it and go. No, they turn their back on you. So like, if you're a fan of the New Jersey Nets and they up and move to Brooklyn, it's over. right? Like, wouldn't
Well,
like
so
that's what's weird to me.
the argument, according to my Twitter mentions, which are just, I mean, people are telling me they hope my career ends soon. They're telling me that I am cherry picking my arguments. And to you guys, I want to say, I'm not saying you don't exist. You can be a huge Nets fan. I'm just saying it is different. And there are more Knicks fans. You couldn't get a Knicks ticket. They sold out within minutes. The cheapest you could get into that building was over $300. This is not the same. And all I'm saying.
And the Nets are so much better too. That's what's
They
funny.
are
It's like the Nets are so much better than the Knicks.
So much better. But this is a different
nobody
situation.
cares.
And to your point though, in 2017, I talked to a bunch of Rams fans in St. Louis after the team moved to LA. They were having like funeral parties. So I think that maybe now that I don't know. What I'm trying to say is, if you're a Nets fan and you're mad at me and you think I did lazy journalism by going and comparing what I know to be true about other teams, which is that fans are psycho and dress up and are psyched and pay a ton of money to go, versus what I saw in Brooklyn, here's what I'll say to you. You're welcome. Because this is giving you something to be mad about. The more people that are mad about this, the more other people are going to join in and be mad. The more Nets fans are going to get other people to be Nets fans, uniting in an us against the world mentality. You think the media has it out for you. We don't. I'm just trying to tell you like it is.
I do, but go ahead.
But like Nets fans, like, you're welcome. Like, you're welcome. I will be your scapegoat to get more people on board, because there just aren't that many people on board right now.
Yeah. Well, that's nice of you. I'll take the more cynical approach to all this and say the Brooklyn Nets represent everything wrong with professional sports from top to bottom in this organization. Like, everything about it. The branding, the idea that like they throw like graffiti looking stuff on the court and it's like corporatized, street art. Like the whole idea is just it's an oxymoron. It doesn't make any sense to have a billion-dollar brand, a multi-billion-dollar brand, like pretend like we represent, like that's the brand it feels like they're going for, is like we are they're trying to like tap into the Brooklyn, whatever the hell Brooklyn is. I don't know whatever Brooklyn has going on over there. The Nets were like, let's just drop a team in here, adopt all this culture and pretend like this came about organically and it's natural, and like we have belonged to this neighborhood and this area of New York forever, and you have not. And it's like, it's so artificial, it's so stupid. And that's how they threw together their team. And they didn't just like team up with three guys that are very talented, which they are. They picked, like, it's three guys that, as you said, are all characters in their own way. And I don't know, they're not villains in the sense that they're bad people per se, but they're villains in the sense that, like, it's very, very hard to cheer for Kyrie Irving when he's just saying outlandish stuff. He's like a troll. He's a professional troll, and it's funny in a lot of ways, but also like you as a neutral fan, you wouldn't blame anybody for not wanting to cheer for the guy. You're like, you wouldn't blame anybody for labeling him as immature or anything else, right? So he's not exactly like a guy you're rushing to cheer for. He's not a Steph Curry or a Damian Lillard. Like, there are types of guys that are like very easy to cheer for. Kyrie Irving is not one of them. That's not to say he's a bad person and that he has no fans. He does, but you understand what I'm saying with this. Number two, James Harden forces his way out of Houston, and it just like defies every. I don't know. I don't understand how that can happen, but it's like the NBA. This is the only league where like this, they just shrug their shoulders. Like, well, nothing we could do. We had. I know James Harden was under contract, but we had no other choice because he wanted to get traded to Brooklyn, so we had to trade him. No, you didn't. But you did. But you didn't. But like, I'm so confused. James Harden's not easy to cheer for, and then Kevin Durant like spends his entire life on the internet, and like he thinks like this Kevin Durant, Jay Williams situation going on where these guys, like Jay Williams goes on Get Up and talks
Wait,
about.
I don't even know about this one.
Oh, he said that at a holiday party, Kevin Durant told him like he had compared Kevin Durant to Giannis, and then he runs into Durant at some party, and Durant comes up to him and says, "Don't you ever compare me to Giannis?" And he tells this story on Get Up after Durant lights up Giannis in Game 2. And Durant gets pissed off about it and goes to Twitter, and he's like, I'm paraphrasing obviously, but like, dudes, these media types are corny as hell, and they'll say anything just to advance their careers, and that's messed up. Like, he calls out Jay Will, right? And for most people watching this, you would say, that was good of Kevin Durant to like stick up for himself because Jay Will had no business. Either Jason Williams was Jay Williams. I'm sorry, he's no longer Jason. Either he is lying and just making up this story for clout, or two, he took like a private moment with Kevin Durant and made it public. And like either way, it doesn't look good for Jay Will. I would counter by saying that's right. That is correct. I'm not saying Jay Will is the winner in this. What I would counter is like Kevin Durant, by simply logging on to the app, twitter.com, you've already lost. So, like, this idea that, like, Kevin Durant tweeting about Jay Will being corny as hell and crossing some line, you've already lost. So, like, I am firmly in the belief that everyone should delete all. You should throw your phone into the ocean. Everybody. If everyone took your phone and just threw it in the ocean, the world would be a better place. So, with that, even when Kevin Durant is right online and he spends a lot of time online and he's got the burner accounts and he's in the replies and he's like very actively tweeting, this does not win me over at all, Charlotte. Every time Kevin Durant hits send on a tweet, even if every single word he's typing is something I believe in, I don't like it. I do not like it one bit. And that makes him unlikable in that regards. Like it's the Nets have those are the three guys. That's the core team. And then you sprinkle in Blake Griffin, who's a sandbagged son of a bitch, who like would not even try for the Detroit Pistons. Blake Griffin wants nothing to do with small markets. He has infuriated small market Mark. He has turned his back on the very people that this is a man from Oklahoma, Charlotte.
Yes.
He's an Oklahoma guy and he plays at Oklahoma. He is infuriating small market Mark, Charlotte. This is a man who was I believe born in Oklahoma, grew up in Oklahoma, went to school at Oklahoma, and then gets a taste of the coastal elite life being drafted by the Clippers, and he turns his back on the very people that made him who he is, and then he gets traded to the Pistons, and he's like, I don't want any part of this. No, it's a no for me. And he ends up signing with the Nets. And the moment the playoffs start, the moment the lights come on, the moment everyone's talking about the Brooklyn Nets, this sandbagging son of a bitch, Blake Griffin, is diving on the floor. He's dunking on people. It looks like it's 2011 all over again. I don't understand it, but I do understand it, and it makes me sick. And that's my rant on the Brooklyn Nets they're the best team. They're going to win. I enjoy watching them from a basketball perspective. Like, I should say that. Like, I'm not a hater. Like, it is fun to watch how good they are. But as an organization, like it really does. It goes against everything that I want out of professional sport. The Brooklyn Nets represent everything I don't want in professional sports.
Okay, yes, everything. I hear you. I have a question though, which is, all right, if you have seen that clearly in this league, you can just go where you want to go. Like KD just goes to Golden State and it's like, all right, here's your super team. You could argue that like LeBron did that. Like if the only way that as players you are thought of as good is if you get a championship, like, is that our fault? Like, did we do that?
Yes, but I don't mind the act of going where you want to go. I mind that like none of these guys are going to Oklahoma City. None of these guys are like, let's all team up and go to Cleveland.
So here's what we need to make the small market cities hotter.
Yes, I think that honestly, I would not complain about player empowerment at all if stories came out about guys teaming up to go to Portland
so we need to.
Story. And
here's my thought. What if there are player incentives? What if you pay guys more if they play for smaller markets?
I think so. I agree with that. I love that idea. I think that's what it should be. I think there's got to be some sort of like calculation that's done where the city you're playing in per capita, and they crunch the numbers because that's what I don't like. That's what I mean. The Brooklyn. It's not just that the players themselves said I want to go to Brooklyn. The franchise said we're picking up and moving to Brooklyn. Like nothing about it is organic, and like sports should be organic. It should be like a cultural thing that's passed down generation to generation, and like there's nothing about it's all artificial. But yeah, I think that is a good workaround. If
because this is a systemic problem, right? Like this is like the league and the franchises. Like you've got it's really us coastal elite assholes in the coastal elite cities being like, ha ha ha, we're gonna mastermind this and screw over Middle America.
Yes, but if like Damian Lillard and Klay Thompson and I don't know, just sprinkle pick another superstar. All these guys got together and decided we're going to force a trade to Memphis. then all of a sudden, like, I'm like, okay, well, now it's possible. Like, now me as a guy who grew up around people that love the Indiana Pacers and the Cleveland Cavaliers, like, now there's a chance. You know what I mean? Like,
So you're
but
saying
it'll
there's a
never
chance.
be that. It'll always be guys demanding trades to Miami, to New York, to LA, and like I don't understand. Like this is my complaint with the player empowerment. It's not that I hate that the players have power, the players can have agency over their own lives and all that. It's that what is the point of anybody in Oklahoma City caring about your franchise when you know that there's an obvious cap because you're never going to get free agents to come there. You're never going to get them. And that's what the game is now, is just guys that are like, your only hope is to draft a guy and hope that he sticks around long enough. And they drafted Durant and Harden and Westbrook, and they all left. So,
and that's what breeds the villainy, is that there's an idea that you're never going to get that. You know, we're never like okay, not to brag, but we have some stats. Blake Griffin here are his dunks. Ready? Hold on. In 2011 and 2012, he had 129 dunks with the Clippers. Next year, 202 dunks with the Clippers, 176 dunks with the Clippers. Then he dips a little bit. He goes 84, 36, 68. Then we get Clippers/Pistons that year in 2017, 2018. We get 46 dunks. 2018, 2019 with the Pistons, 37 dunks. 2019 to 2020 with the Pistons, 5 dunks. 2020 to 2021, 18 dunks in 26 games with the Nets, 0 dunks in 20 games with the Pistons. And this is a dunk-based stats podcast. Dunks are the only stats that matter if you're a basketball player. That determines how good you are. Blake Griffin phoned it in Detroit. There you have it.
He was just jacking threes because he was like, "This is I want a taste of the coastal elite lifestyle. Send me to," and then he gets to, like, would you say he had 5 dunks in an entire season? I think he had that in game 2 alone.
I know, right? You see him just.
Oh.
I know. So it's not to say that the Nets can't build something. You know, they can, but it'll take 100 years, and by then, you know, the Earth will be a ball of fire, and basketball won't be a priority.
Right,
so it's, you know, it's over.
I like Blake Griffin, by the way. I want to say that, like, I generally like Blake Griffin. I think he's like, I like his side projects. Like, he wants to be a stand-up comedian. Like, everything about
I like
Blake
his
Griffin.
vibe. He's a good vibe.
I liked him a lot until I realized he was sandbagging in Detroit. Like, that hurts me. That the small market Mark, it's a shot to the heart. It's brutal. The only saving grace is that a lot of Pistons fans are also Michigan fans. So, you know, ruffling their feathers isn't the worst thing for an Ohio State guy like myself.
Okay, so you're kind of a villain too. Like, here's the thing: no one's good. Like, I'm a villain to Nets fans. You're a villain because you root for Ohio State, and everybody hates Ohio State. Like, nothing. See, this is where I'm confused. I'm like, well, I don't know. Your initial question, was it always like this?
Maybe it was.
I don't know.
But I think in order for villainy to work, there has to be the heroes. There has to be, like I said, like guys like Steph Curry. That's like what made Steph so awesome, is that we lived in this era of LeBron James dominating everything. And even Kobe, when Kobe was at the height of his powers, and now that Kobe has passed, everyone pretends like they love Kobe and that Kobe was so fun to watch. And oh my God, what a special talent. Everybody hated Kobe.
I know.
Kobe was hated so much by people. Are you
Unless
like,
you were an LA Lakers fan,
if
you
you're a
really
Lakers fan,
hated
you love Kobe.
right?
Everyone else hated the guy. They're like, this guy, get him out of my face. I hate that he wins. I hate how he wins. I hate that he shoot. Like, people hated that guy. They hated LeBron. And Steph was like the one guy that really rose to a level of all-time great in recent history. That I feel like had a universal, like, you know, obviously everybody has some haters, but it really felt like people rallied around Steph and really loved, you know, when Kevin Durant joined the Warriors, that kind of killed the Warriors as a franchise in terms of likability. But Steph Curry never lost his likability. He was always.
He wasn't tarnished by that.
Right.
Steph's skated
right.
through. You know, maybe it's that you have to have a show called Holy Moly.
That's what it is.
Like, maybe you need a game show, and then people are like, you know what, that guy's all right. Like, maybe Katie, Durant, and Harden just need to host. By the way, have you watched Dwayne Wade's The Box?
I watched it a little bit because it came on after one of the playoff games.
Yeah, that's when I watched it. Not gonna lie, I was riveted. I am obsessed with that game show. I would, if anyone out there can get me on Dwayne Wade's The Box game show, I would do it. I would pay you to let me do it.
Is it called The Box or is it called Dwayne Wade's The Box?
Is it called the Cube?
The Cube? It might be The Cube.
Is it called the 3D square?
If someone could get me on that show that I love so much, I don't even know what it's called.
I've seen it once and I was hooked.
It reminds me too much of Minute to Win It, hosted by Apollo Ono, the
Get Out the
famous
Speed Skater?
Yeah. Apollo Anton Ono, I believe he was once upon a time. Yeah, they used to. I remember Minute to Win It. I think it was on NBC back in the day, and they used to do just like challenges with various household items, like you like hold an egg on a spoon, and then you have to like throw it in the air and catch it. And if you do that, you win $25 million. Here we go.
See, that's where, that's where it's like, I love the idea of taking fame from the Olympics or, something that's every 4 years. And, his agents were like, man, how are we going to extend this between every 4 years? And they're like, I know, the Egg Game and Red Rover. And then they bring on these people in. But, I digress, as we are wont to do on this podcast. So, a few other people who have been villains. We've talked about DeChambeau. We've talked about Floyd and the Pauls. And I know that we have a rule that we only talk about things that are fun and funny, and I would argue that villains are generally fun and funny. The Floyd Mayweather and the Paul brothers are not fun and funny. They are terrible. They have all done very bad things. Some of the, Mayweather was awful with women, has pleaded guilty to multiple charges of violent domestic abuse. Logan Paul took a video with someone who committed suicide. Jake Paul was accused of sexual misconduct. These are not people you want to root for, and yet they're just like all over social media and people are hate watching it. And I would even argue that Bryson and Brooks, no one's really rooting for, I guess people are rooting for Brooks more than Bryson, but at this point, everyone's like, why are you still doing this? Why are you still being, why are you giving each other swirlies on the golf course and stuffing each other into lockers?
Once again, Brooks Koepka, he feels like Kevin Durant to me, where even when he makes the right point, even when he says that, I'm like, dude, you obviously care more about the whole reason Brooks Koepka feels like he's playing golf and he wants to play golf and continue to golf and continue this career of his is just to dunk on Bryson DeChambeau, which I respect. But it's also like you can't like killing Bryson DeChambeau more than you like winning golf tournaments.
I know.
And he definitely does. That dude definitely would rather just own Bryson than win majors. Which is not it's not to say he's a bad golfer. Obviously he almost won the PGA against Phil. He's playing. He's a great golfer. He's amazing. But I really feel like what gets him out of bed every morning right now is Bryson. And in that regard, even when he's dunking on Bryson, I can't. It's like Kevin Durant going online. It's like, dude, you're making great points, and I love the idea of you chirping back at the haters, but you're on the internet, dude. You're on Twitter. There's no such thing as winning a Twitter fight. No one has ever in the history of Twitter.com won a Twitter fight, ever.
No, it's what you said. When you log on, you lose. I initially started chirping back at some Nets fans because I got annoyed, and I immediately deleted those tweets because I was like, I have already lost.
You've already lost.
And I have probably lost by addressing it at all on this podcast, but I'm a loser, so what are you gonna do? But I do think that when it comes to you can't ever let someone know they're living rent free in your head. If they're living rent free in your head, you've got to evict them, and you can't tell them that they were ever there in the first place. You heard it here first.
Okay.
I try not to let my enemies know that I know they're out there.
Yeah, I don't know. One thing that's interesting to me is that I feel like in light of all of this hatred-fueled sports world that we live in, I feel myself becoming more and more of a sports nihilist. And I'm concerned about that means that I just don't care. I'm getting too old to have a lot of hatred. I just talked about how much I hate the Nets, but honestly, when I'm watching the Nets blow out the Bucks, I don't hate them in the sense that I'm throwing the remote at the TV and I'm like, oh God.
Right.
I just kind of just shrug my shoulders and say, who cares? And I hate that's the thing I hate the most is my apathy, Charlotte, is that I am becoming, and I wonder, is this a product of the pandemic that we learned during a pandemic when we have to suss out what is essential in life and what is not. And I think it was glaringly obvious that sports are very much non-essential. As we are coming out of that, I feel myself, I really do. I feel myself just sort of shrug. Like, I don't know. I'm into the NBA playoffs, but I don't think about, I don't think that the stakes are as high as, in my mind. I'm just speaking for me. Like, I'm not trying to say that everyone else should feel the same way. It's just, the stakes don't feel as high. It doesn't feel like there's legacy on the line. Like, if Chris Paul gets the ring, this should be a massive deal. If the Phoenix Suns win a title, this should be a massive deal. That Chris Paul, maybe the greatest pure point guard in the history of basketball, finally, at long last, he's never even played in NBA Finals, much less won a ring, finally gets his ring. How old is he now? Like 37? Like, for God's sakes, the guy, he's getting up there. Finally wins a ring. This should be a big deal. And I am not motivated to care as a fan in ways I should be. And I think it's a product of there's so much hatred, and I'm too old to hate Charlotte. So what I do, what I find that old people do, old guys especially, this isn't true across the board, but these are the old people that I associate with. What I've found is that
what old guys are you hanging out?
They don't have time to hate. They just like kind of like complain under their breath and just like, ugh, and grunt, and that's it. And that's about as far as they go. And that's how I feel. It's like I watch the Nets and I just go, ugh, and then turn it off. And that's
you just answered your question.
Okay.
You just answered your question. I hear you say that, and I realize that because sports don't matter, that because we learned that because we just went through a hopefully once in a generation, really horrible, horrible thing where it made everyone's priorities very clear, as we've talked about before, people are overcompensating, and they're getting more angry just to like get up the gumption to like, you know, wind themselves up to be like, okay, I got to care about sports again. Like, we're going to do this. We're going to go hard. We're going to just come out swinging because like, we know that this is a little, you know, like you really have to psych yourself up. And so I think people are going like very, like when I saw Nets fans. You're trying to jumpstart a
car, kind of like, you're like, I'm just going to.
You are pushing a car up a hill, basically. And you were like, oh, I'm good. Like when I started seeing Nets fans get mad at me, and I started getting mad back at Nets fans and like wanting to defend myself and like being upset about it, I went for a walk and I was like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. I was like, get offline. What are you doing? This. But so the villainy sort of seeps in because we're all overexcited because we are trying to get there. And I think that an easier way to do it's much easier to be like, hey, you know, go to hell, Charlotte Wilder, than being like, oh, you know, maybe there weren't as many Nets fans as I thought, and maybe that's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so here, my question to you, Mark. What do we do if we are trying to get people psyched up? You just said you're worried you won't be able to get psyched up. This is the equivalent. We're going to have to push a really great car up a hill. And we need to figure out what needs to happen in order to get up the ability to do that.
That's what I did the opposite approach. Everyone else was like, not everyone, but a large group of sports fans, it seems like, as you said, has overcompensated almost for the lack of being able to go to these events and all that stuff, and all the pent up aggression is coming out. Mm-hmm. I must have the opposite. Like, I'm the guy that's like slowly opening the door and putting my head out and is like, is it okay to care again? I don't know yet. Maybe I'll shut the door and wait. And like, I'm very slowly getting back there, and I hate that about myself. I really do. Like, I hate that I look around, like as we were prepping for the show, and we had the observation that there's so many storylines of sports are fueled by hatred right this second at this moment. That's what I thought. Maybe that's why, is because like I can't bring myself to I don't know. I can't bring myself to really hate stuff because I'm too old. Because and also, like, when you do realize how dumb it is to hate stuff, like you can catch me at the don't get me wrong. Like, I was watching USA Mexico soccer game, and I was like, we have to beat the Mexican soccer team. We must. This is the most important thing in my life. And I didn't even know this game was going on until like
until like a basketball game ended.
Yes. So like, you can catch me in moments where I'm like, this is super important. But the rational part of my brain overtakes all of it far too often now. Like, we're like, part of the fun of being a fan is being irrational and being and just letting yourself go wild. And not necessarily, that doesn't mean running onto the floor or throwing stuff at players or anything like that. It just means like caring too much. It means like someone who's not a sports fan, knocks on your apartment door or something, and they catch you in the right moment, and they're like, "You are psychotic. You're crying because like grown men missed a shot. Like what? What are you doing?" And I think, like as you take a step back and you rationally think about it, you're like, yeah, that is insane that I do that. And what I'm saying is right now in this moment in time, as we are recording this, I find myself as a sports fan, the rational part of my brain is dominating when I watch sports. And because of that, I feel like a nihilist, and to the point that like, I can't bring myself to care too much because I know that it's all irrational. And I want that to go away. I want to go back to being irrational because that's what makes sports fun.
Okay, I have 2 questions for you.
Okay.
Have you tried drinking? My second question is, have you been to a game?
I have not been to a game, and I think
you got to go to a game because
I,
as everybody knows, I injured myself at a Knicks game. Like, when you're there, it's like such sensory overload. You're just like losing your mind, and then you can get back. And then I went to a Nets game, and then I got into fights with Nets fans, and then I was like, oh, we are back, baby. But before, I felt similarly to you, so I think you've got to.
I got to go to a game.
You've got it, but it's like they have cognitive behavioral therapy for people to try to fix you. You have to unfix yourself. You have to study, like what you're describing to me about having a rational mindset sounds far too healthy for a sports fan.
Exactly.
So you're going to have to just also, this is also fitting for the podcast. Like, I'm the coastal elite, you're Midwest Mark, you're small market Mark. I am way too excited about everything. You are poking your head out and then putting it back. Like, this is a healthy balance. We can pull each other in either direction. I am going to be your hype man. If you ever want to get really upset about sports or really excited about it, like, you can call me and I will just so that's what we're going to do right now. We are going to do, we're going to practice that. I
feel better because I think you hit the nail on the head. I haven't been to a sporting event since the last thing I went to was the Maui Invitational in Asheville, North Carolina.
Oh my God.
Where I had a mask on the whole time. It was an empty arena. It was just the players, the coaches, the people running the event, and then me and Tate. That was the only people in there. And it was great. It was fun to watch live because the championship game was a buzzer beater. North Carolina lost at the buzzer, and it was funny to be there with Tate. And but it wasn't even close to the same. And I haven't been to anything since then. And I think that's what it is. I think I got to get back in there. Maybe I got to put myself back out there.
I don't know. Yeah, right. You got to get back on the sports apps, man. I don't know if this is in any budget, but we should get you to a Brooklyn Nets game.
That's what it would take.
You would be so seeing half the people walking around in gray t-shirts. Or being there were people in Kobe jerseys, and I was like, "What is happening?" You would get. I channeled your energy, and I was like, you might think you're a nihilist, but you would be there, and you would be like, "This is absolute garbage.
This is disgusting. I'm disgusted." And then that's what it takes. So you think for me, it's not. This is part of the problem because we're talking about all the hatred going on. You think the way to awaken me is instead of finding something to love, it's find something to hate.
Yes,
and that'll awaken me. And then maybe by having my hatred, having hatred fuel me, I will then love again. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
That's exactly because you know what? Let's go into our list because this taps into. What we have decided to do for you guys is we are each going to list our top 5 things that will turn the tides of people hate watching stuff to people love watching stuff, or that's a rallying cry that some of you can get behind in a positive way. And I'm going to tell you how, for one of these, how the negativity that I felt made me look for something positive. So we're going to get into that, but we have our top 5 lists prepared. Do you think we should just do that? Because I know that I just said you need to hate in order to love again, but let's see what there is out there that you could even possibly love.
These are my 5 things I wrote down that if these happen, I'm back in, and I will definitely feel. I promise you I will feel if these 5 things happen.
Okay, do you promise?
Yes. I will no longer be a sports nihilist. I will be back in irrationally just yelling at my TV, good and bad. When good things are happening, I'm ecstatic. When bad things are happening, I'm crying.
I'm a little bummed that, Sir Thomas Lipton died, because if Shamrock 6-1, I know it would beat the Americans, but you'd be really excited about it.
That would be, that is not on my list. I probably should have put it on the list.
It's not on mine either, but now that I think about it, if someone resurrected Shamrock 6 and someone in the UK finally beat the New York Yacht Club.
With Thomas Lipton's ashes on board.
With in the little cricket urn.
The cricket, the ashes.
That's a deep cut. You listen to this podcast if you understood everything that we just said. Okay, so number 5, who's going first?
Whatever. I usually let you go first, but you decide this time who goes first.
I'll go first because this one's going to make you laugh because it has to do with something you sent me right before we recorded. Aaron Rodgers and Shailene Woodley need to get married.
Okay. Well, how does that factor into his what if they get married and you're a Packers fan wanting Aaron Rodgers to come back and you wake up tomorrow and you see a headline that Aaron Rodgers is married to Shailene Woodley, do you think that helps the chances of Aaron Rodgers coming back to the Packers or hurts the chances of Aaron Rodgers coming back to the Packers?
I actually have no idea because I was only thinking about myself when I wrote this one. I don't think Packers fans would care one way or another as long as Aaron Rodgers reports to minicamp. But for me, this and anyone else out there who's as obsessed with their relationship as I am, and I know you're out there, this is for fans of love. If this is a list about good things that need to happen, like whether you're a diehard Packers fan or not, like you would be a fan of this. Shailene Woodley recently gave an interview to Shape magazine, and she said, and I quote, "I have the perspective that I would have met Aaron in any context, any space and time, because I feel we were meant to be together."
Wow.
Also, she's very into astrology. I looked this up. She's a Scorpio. He's a Sagittarius. I looked up whether those signs are compatible. Turns out they are. And so fans of astrology will also be happy. And astrology is sports. Boom. There it is. What's your number 5, Mark Titus?
So women or men who believe in astrology, if you... this is a whole other tangent, but I don't understand astrology, and that like if Shailene figured out that Aaron was, I don't know, a Leo or something, is that one?
He's a Sagittarius, Mark. I just said that.
I'm saying if he wasn't a Sagittarius and he was a Leo and everything about the relationship is going well, but then Shailene is like, I can't be with a Leo. It'll never work.
I don't know.
Does she just walk away at that point? Is that a red flag to astrology people?
I'm going to be honest. The only thing I know about astrology is what I Google. And I haven't Googled, should you leave your relationship if it says your signs aren't compatible? But I will look into that and I will get back to you.
We need to find an astrology expert that we can consult on this show.
Should we get an astrologer on the show?
We really should. We should like when there's a trade, like Damian Lillard goes to like Dallas or something, and it's Damian and Luka together. When that happens this offseason, we have to get an astrologist on here to be like, all right, so Luka is
a Cancer. Oh my God.
And are they going to play well together? Will they play well together? And then
okay, we need to do this. That is our NBA free agency show. We will find an astrologer. We will get them on. We will have a list of all the things we want to know about, and then we'll have our answers.
We will do that. I put me down in if Aaron Rodgers gets married to Shailene Woodley, I think that might be good for Packers.
They'll feel like he's settled down.
Yeah, like I think he's in this frantic state right now where like everything is fun and let's just and when you get married, I don't think it's fun anymore. I think that's it. I think it just kind of like
all the married Packers fans are like, oh yeah, this guy's going back to work.
So I think he met this new girl. It's all fun and new and fresh, and they move in together way too quickly. But that's like exciting and oh my God, where's it going? And then you get married and everything simmers, and then he's like, what am I doing? I gotta go play football. Like he's not gonna leave her. They're obviously, if they get married, they'll be married forever. We know that. We believe in love on this show, but. But the excitement, like, kind of, the temperature gets lowered, and then he's like, I'm going to go play football now.
And he's like, oh, man, I've read every Jeopardy book there is to read. I got to get back on the field.
I gotta go play football.
So that's my number 5.
All right. My number 5 is also football, but a different kind. It is football,
Football.
Number 5 on my list is the United States men's national team qualifies for the World Cup, which is not going to happen for a little while. I think World Cup qualifying starts in September. But watching the U.S.-Mexico game where we beat Mexico and we won a trophy that didn't exist until we beat Mexico, it awoken something in me. It made me feel alive. Like, we missed out on the last World Cup. You know this, Charlotte.
Yeah, it's super embarrassing.
We hit a big reset button on the path of the United States men's national team. We now have Christian Pulisic, who is... He just won the Champions League with Chelsea. It was him individually. He was the only guy on the field for Chelsea, as we know.
It took a minute for me to like hear that and get the joke.
No one else won it. It was just him.
It was him.
And in all seriousness, at long last, I think the United States, and certainly in Pulisic, we have a world-class, I don't know, soccer fans will roll their eyes at that. Maybe he's not. We have a guy who's like very much an upper echelon player, right? Like we talked ourselves into Lena Donovan and Clint Dempsey being that good, and Tim Howard, maybe is he that good? Maybe, I don't really know. It was fuzzy. Christian Pulisic, if Chelsea doesn't want him, literally every single soccer club in the world would want him. They would try to sign him. So that's in my lifetime, that's the first, probably ever, I would say then, the first United States soccer player we've ever had of that caliber. And with that, there's hope for the future, Charlotte. There's a lot of great young players, and I think when the United States, when the World Cup qualifying starts, and we are just an absolute wagon, just running the score up on all these, on Honduras, and I look up and it's 7-1. We destroyed Honduras and Panama. Like, Christian Pulisic's taking his shirt off in Panama, giving the suck it sign to the Panama fan. We are back in a big way, and I will be so excited. But it doesn't start till September, so we got to wait a little bit.
Okay, so is Christian Pulisic lovable? Like, is he the hero America needs? Because I've heard counterpoints that he's a boring guy, a boring athlete.
He made. First of all, did you see the penalty kick that he just ropes into the top corner? And what does he do to celebrate? He runs over to the Mexican fans, takes his shirt off, and as they're just throwing stuff, he's just like, "Suck it!" Like, it was that. How is that boring? Boring would just be like, kind of like kiss your fingers and then tap your chest and kiss your fingers and then point to the sky. Like, that's boring. He didn't do that. He said, "Throw your bags of piss at me. I will take them on. I beat your team. Suck it." That's what he said.
I just wanted to rile you up a little bit. I just wanted to see some of that.
He's not boring.
Yeah, I just wanted to see you care about something, boring. Mark. See, it works. You're not a sports nihilist. You might think you are, but if you take the bait on Christian Pulisic that easily, I know. I can't wait for the World Cup qualifying. There you go. Okay, he's
excited.
back, folks.
All right,
love that one. My number 4 is tricky because we're recording the show on Wednesday. It comes out on Thursday. There's a chance that by the time you are hearing this is impossible. Hear me out. We need a Bruins-Islanders Game 7. It is currently, as of the time I'm saying this, it is Wednesday, and the Bruins are behind 3-2.
Yeah.
If they win, this is a must-win game tonight. If they do this and they force a Game 7, this will bring. First of all, what are the 2 best words in sports?
Game 7.
Okay, we did a whole thing on that, which we'll talk about on Monday. But Game 7s are what you live for as a sports fan in the playoffs, and this is great. Me saying this right now is going to be either great for Bruins fans, because if we do this and there's a Game 7, when this clip comes out, when you hear this, you are going to be like, yes, let's go. You know, Bruce Cassidy has said that Tuukka is good to go for Wednesday night. If you hear this and he made a bunch of saves and like he's ready to go for Thursday. Also, Bruce Cassidy like really riled up Bruins fans in a great way. I think he said, this is my take on it. We're playing a team that has a very well-respected management and coaching staff, but I think they sell a narrative over there that it's more like the New York Saints, not the New York Islanders, because he didn't like how those games were being called, which I love because, you know, Bruins fans are like, yes, finally, someone said it. Like, we're getting screwed. And Islanders fans are like, oh, you're such a poor loser that you have to blame it on the refs. It's like, this is what sports are for. That is like a fan base rivalry that you can get behind. And if there is a Game 7, Islanders fans are going to hear this, be like, Charlotte, you are such an idiot, and it is going to bring them so much joy. If there's a Game 7, Bruins fans are going to be into it. And I also want to apologize. I've gotten a fair amount of people from Boston as I've been covering the NBA playoffs, being like, how are you not watching the Bruins? Why are you not into this? They're very upset with me. I would like to apologize to my hometown team, to the fans of that team, to the people who wanted me to be in this with you. I wasn't, because part of my job is that I have to do the things that I'm told to do, which were basketball, and I got really into it and I got carried away. But the Bruins, I am in it from now on. We're going to Game 7, and then we're going to the Stanley Cup Finals, and that is what I have to say about that.
It's definitely happening. What's the worst that could happen?
What's the worst
Where
that
do
could
the Bruins
happen?
fall?
I jinxed it. Anyone hearing this tomorrow and the Bruins lost, they're like, you son of a bitch. You just screwed them over.
Now that the Red Sox got rid of Mookie Betts, the Patriots got rid of Tom Brady, the Boston Celtics got rid of Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens-ish, where do the Bruins fall in the Boston sports hierarchy of those four teams?
Well, so the thing about the Bruins, Mark, is that I'm not sure people outside of Boston realize this. The Bruins are kind of like always the king of the city. And I know that sounds crazy to say when the Patriots were winning Super Bowls literally every year.
Are you just saying this because they're in the playoffs right now? And
No.
that's okay. All right. I'm just making sure.
Well, first of all, Boston needs another championship. We've gotten too unobnoxious. It's been, what, 2 years now? Since, like, come on. It's
Wow.
time. Like,
Wow.
we need this Boston. If it's for the rest of the country, like, we're talking about hate watching. The rest
Yeah,
of the
the rest of the
needs
country
a
definitely wants
like,
Boston to win another title. I agree. Yes. That's exactly
they don't
what...
realize how much they need that to fuel their hatred until it happens. But listen, no, it's like, it's like you go watch the Bees, like you go to a Bees game, you get on the tee and you go to the Garden. I'm butchering a Boston accent, but like the most diehard group of fans, and even if it's not the biggest, people who care about the Boston Bruins care about the Boston Bruins in a way that I have seldom ever seen people care about another team.
Okay, let me phrase it this way. It's 2021, so this is the hypothetical I'm throwing at you is under present day circumstances. You get asked on a first date, and power rank going to those four games as a first date. Like, what would get you most excited? I don't know why I picked a first date. I was just like, I don't know.
Because you know why you picked a first date? Because like regardless of whether you're into the guy or not, if he's taking you to a sports game,
yeah.
you're gonna.
Okay, so
it depends. Like, how good of a game does it have to be?
So he's like, I was thinking for a first date we could go to the Red Sox, we could go to Fenway, we could go to you could have any four of those. Give me your power rankings of the four that you're like most excited about going.
Well, this is like
As it
asking me to
stands
choose
right
a
now.
favorite child.
As it stands
In
right
2021?
now. In 2021. I'm not
The
saying
Bruins.
like okay, so Bruins is number one.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
There you have it.
God, I love Fenway.
So you hate
Right,
you
but
hate
the Bruins are in the
Patriots.
playoffs right now.
You hate the Celtics. That's what we learned. Okay, very good.
Mac Jones and Cam Newton have to earn my love. I already love
right.
Cam. I think he was dealt a raw deal, but we'll see how it goes.
I love, by the way, less about Boston, more about the New York Islanders. I love the idea of the New York Islanders. I haven't been paying much attention to
Why?
hockey. Because to me, Long Island feels like the Midwest of the New York scene. Long Island is like...
I was on Long Island this weekend, and you can have a really nice setup on Long Island. You can have like a yard on Long Island the way you can have a yard in the Midwest that I really respect.
And the people seem like I feel like everyone in New York would look down on the people of Long Island, but like that's what makes them have a Midwestern vibe to me. I don't know.
People
I
of
don't
Long
know.
Island are salt of the earth, Mark. You are not
Exactly.
wrong. Like, you are not
Exactly.
wrong.
And I bet if you ask people in Manhattan, like, what do you think about the people of Long Island? They're like, they're rednecks, maybe.
They're like
or
the Hamptons?
something. Yeah.
They're like, I
Also,
love those people.
The fact that the Islanders, they're like actually on Long Island, like Long Island proper. 'Cause
Nassau, baby.
Right? Like they're way out there. They're not they're not really by the city at all.
They
And I
used
feel
to
like-
play at Barclays, speaking of the Nets, and that didn't work out, so maybe the
Yeah.
stadium is cursed. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted you.
Well, no, that's what I mean is that like I think that it would be very disheartening if you had this team that quote unquote represents Long Island and they play in like Brooklyn or like they did, right? Like that sucks. So I love the idea of a franchise is like, yeah, we're New York, but we're like this part of New York. We're over here and we're like legitimately over here. We're not, it's not like some artificially manufactured deal, like was kind of what the Nets did. That's kind of how the Nets.
It all comes full circle.
Yeah, yeah. So I like the Islanders, but I also don't know anything about them other than just that. Like, I like the name Islanders too, because like you hear the name Islanders, you don't picture like Long Island.
Don't picture Long Island.
You don't picture Long Island. You picture like the Hawaiian hockey team.
Yep. The Islanders coach won a Stanley Cup. The Islanders coach is Barry Trotz, I do believe. And he was a coach when the Caps won. So I think that there is hope for the Islanders, but this was not supposed to be about that.
But enough about that. We're cheering for the Boston Bruins,
the Boston Bruins. Yeah, actually, one of my best friends from Mark. No, it's the Boston Avalanche. One of my best friends from high school, her mom texted me and her a picture of me and my friend at a Bruins game and said, "Charlotte, I'm disappointed in you," because I was at the Nets game at the time, and I was like,
no.
"Oh no, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I feel so guilty about this."
Oh no.
So I gotta get back into it.
That's all right. That's what happens. That's what sucks about basketball and hockey is like I would love hockey so much more if it wasn't on during.
Can't we stagger it somehow? Can't we make the seasons shorter? Like, can't hockey, let's put hockey, like, okay, baseball is October. We go hockey October to January. Basketball is February to May. Boom, load management. I solved it. You're welcome. Pay mid-market players more.
I think you just solved sports. I think we're done here.
I just fixed sports.
I think that's it.
Remember how we joked about how we weren't going to fix sports? Sorry, I did it.
We just did it. Number 4 on my list. And this is a hat tip to our boss, Michael Buckland, because he threw this out there and when we were discussing this idea. And I heard him say it, and I could not get it out of my head because I thought to myself, this would get the blood pumping through my veins in a way that very few other things could. And it is this, Charlotte. It is simply a video of Eldrick Woods just bombing drives on a driving range. And that's all I need. We don't need a promise that Tiger Woods is coming back, that he's entering his name in some tournament, that he's fully healthy. I don't need any of that because, like, honestly, I am just working off the assumption that Tiger Woods will never play competitive golf again based on his age and how bad the wreck he was in was. I don't necessarily need any of that right now. What I need is just like Tiger Woods is up walking and he's swinging a golf club and there's just like he's golfing with like Justin Thomas or something, and Justin Thomas just films a video of Tiger swinging a club and posts it on some social media, and I would go nuts. I would go absolutely. I think everybody would. I think everybody would go nuts. It would dominate the headlines, sports headlines for like 3 days.
I was gonna say that would be a headline for a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm really glad you did this one. I was going to do this one, and then I hoped that you would do it, so I didn't do it. But ever since Buck said that, I too, like, I can picture it. Okay, here's what I picture when I picture that video potentially coming out. He's on a golf course. It's not entirely clear where it is, but it's a really wooded, green, lush course. The tee is on a hill, so you can see far into the distance, and there might be some sort of like bluish mountains, and it's very atmospheric, and it feels like it might be in the middle of nowhere, and there's no one else around, but you can hear, say, you know Justin Thomas's voice, or you can hear another golfer's voice as he hits it, but only see Tiger, and it is just this moment of zen and hope and resurrection, and I could not agree with you more.
I like your version.
Is that what you pictured?
I was thinking more like Justin Thomas is like on the hunt for Bigfoot, and he's like going through. There's like an element of suspense where you're not really sure where the video is going, and he's just like walking through woods or something, and then suddenly like pops out, and then like you just see like this figure off in the distance, and he's slowly walking in, and it's zooming in, and it's coming into more focus, and then you just see a shadowy figure hitting golf balls, and then it keeps zooming. I guess my idea is really dependent on Justin Thomas's cinematography skills.
I'm sorry, when did Justin Thomas become a DP, and also is this a horror movie? Is my question.
And then it zooms in, and it's Tiger Woods, and then he just bombs a drive, and he looks at the camera and he winks, and then the Nike logo appears because it was an ad the whole time.
Because Justin Thomas didn't film it. Because the iPhone's good, but it's not that good. Oh man! All right. Well, I like what you were thinking of. I think we're on the same page there.
Okay. All right.
My number 3, Mark, is if Fernando Tatis Jr. leads the league in both home runs and stolen bases.
Oh.
Because right now he is tied in the NL for both of those stats. He is tied with Ronald Acuna Jr. for the most home runs, and he is tied with Trey Turner for the most stolen bases. And the reason that this is so impressive, for those of you who might be wondering, is because if you hit a home run, you're not on the bases.
You can't steal bases if you hit home runs.
I don't know how much people know about baseball, but like if you hit a home run, you go around all the bases and then you're back on the bench.
Yep.
If you hit a single, you are on the base, which means you can steal a base. If you hit a double, it means you're on a base. You can hit a base, even if you hit a triple. The thing is, if you hit a single, a double, or a triple, you're not hitting a home run. So this means you need. I know. I mean, I know I said there would not be many stats on this podcast in general, but
be sure to send in emails if you agree with what Charlotte just said. That was very controversial. I want to hear what the people think. If you hit a single, a double, or a triple, you're not hitting a home run. What do the people think? Do you guys agree, disagree? Be sure to write in peoplesportspodcast@gmail.com.
Okay, Mark, my point is that it is very hard to both lead the league. This means that basically every time Tatis gets up to bat, he's hitting a bomb or he's getting on base, and then he's stealing a base. Like this is a great
Charlotte Explained segment. I love this so much. The thing about 3-point field goal percentage is if the ball goes in, that's a make, and if it doesn't, it's a miss. So what you do is you take the makes, you divide it by the shot attempts. Now, so the more you make, the more So I think like people always talk about Steph Curry's 3-point field goal percentage. What they're really saying, if you really think about it, is that he makes a lot of shots.
Every once in a while, I'm just like, how do I have a job? I'm like, who pays
Well, it's
me
funny
to do
because
this?
I know exactly what you're saying. I know the point that you're making. It was just like you were so passionate about like you the way you were saying it was like you had an epiphany. Like you're just like you're like I crunched the numbers this morning, and you're never gonna believe what I figured out.
When I saw that he was leading, that he was tied for both of them. Okay, to put into perspective how hard it is to hit home runs and steal bases all the time. The last time someone led the league in both of these things, it was Chuck Klein in 1932 for the Philadelphia Phillies. And before that, hold on, I have this written down. It only happened 2 other times, and one of those times was Ty Cobb in 1909 and Jimmy Sheckard in 1903. Those were 2, ancient white guys who were just ripping cigs, and like the leagues weren't integrated, and everyone was awful, and that doesn't count.
That was pre-steroids, yes. Yeah, so it doesn't. There weren't real athletes yet. Yeah. I got you. I hear what you're saying. Yes.
That would be great for the world if he did that.
It would be. It's awesome. You know, as I was hearing you say that, it works out perfectly that I just recently, like a few days ago, a buddy brought up to me that the 40-40 Club is a thing well, first of all, it's a real nightclub, is it not? Like in New York City or something?
Yeah, I've been, not to brag.
The 40-40 Club in baseball.
I went, hold on. Oh, I went because a VR company invited me to watch a basketball playoff game there because they were trying to get me to write about their VR headset. I don't like.
What?
I don't go to clubs.
You should have just stopped at like, yeah, I've been to the 40-40 Club.
I wanted to be honest with the people because no, because the people would hear that and be like, there's a catch.
Oh, okay. All right.
There was a catch.
The 40-40 Club in baseball is 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases. And I have known about this club that exists because I have thought that this is not a common thing, obviously. Like you wouldn't create a club if everyone's in it. But I was not aware, Charlotte, that this has only happened 4 times in the history of baseball.
No way.
That
I didn't know that.
Hit 40 home runs and stolen 40 bases. I would have guessed it's happened like 70 times. I would have guessed it was on par with like no hitters or perfect games or something. It is not. It has happened 4 times in the history of baseball, and I think it was Barry Bonds has done it. Canseco, Alex Rodriguez, and Alfonso Soriano. He's kind of the oddball. Alfonso Soriano did it. That's only ever happened 4 times, and I just relearned that or like had that pop up into my purview recently, and then now you're bringing this up. So how about that?
Sorry,
Can Tatis do 40-40?
I'm just laughing because you just explained clubs to me. So you don't, clubs. You don't start a club if everyone can be in it.
If everyone can be in it, you can't.
If everyone can be in it.
You know that.
Yeah,
hold on.
I know.
Is he on pace to what's his?
Yes, he is on pace to do it. Well, for 40-40, I don't know.
40-40. Let me see here. So he's played.
That's too much math.
45 games. He has 13 stolen bases. That's gonna be tough. And he's got 17 home. Yeah, it's too much math. I crunched the numbers and I've decided that's too much math.
Yeah,
I'm
much
gonna go ahead
math.
and not do that math.
We don't know. He could or he couldn't. Let's go with he could, because this is the optimistic part of the podcast.
There we go. All right. My number 3 on my list is the United States gymnastics, the women's gymnastics team winning gold in Tokyo this summer. That is, the more I think about it, I think the United States women's gymnastics team is the most important team that we have in this country at any level of any sport. I
agree with you.
The women's soccer team would argue they're more important. I would say you're wrong. I think the men's basketball team would say we win gold all the time too. We are very important. I would say, no, you're not. Shut up. There is no more important team in this country than the United States gymnastics team. And this has been the case forever. And whether everyone else believes this or not, I'm speaking on behalf of this entire country. This is the most important team we have, and we need a gold medal in Tokyo. We need to beat basically China and Russia. Those seem to be the two. Because it's that's the other part about the Olympics, is it's like always it's always our enemies who are good at stuff. It's always China and Russia. You know what I mean?
The communists.
Yeah. The one time I remember, like the one like big matchup I remember where it was USA versus another country and there was a gold medal on the line and everyone was it was the 2010, and it wasn't an enemy. I mean, like it wasn't a political rival type deal. It was the 2010 hockey when USA played Canada. And that just felt weird. Like I remember getting worked up about it. And I was like, we got to beat Canada. But then the game was over. Canada beat us. And I was like, Canada's not too bad. But like if Russia would have beat us for the gold medal, I would have been flipping tables.
Forget about it. Forget about it. Yeah, China.
Get out of here. So we have to. That's what makes I think the USA gymnastics team so important, though, is that like it always is Russia and China, isn't it? It's like us, Russia, and China, and we have to win. We must win. I don't know who's going to be somersaulting for us. I don't know who our Olympians are.
Simone Biles.
Will she be? She's too old, right?
I think so. No, I think she just competed because she had that amazing Simone Biles Olympics 2021.
She's not too old? I thought like, oh my God.
Well, women.
Simone is in.
Yeah,
Let's
she's
go.
in.
Oh my
Let's
God,
go. Come on.
That's all I needed. Now I'm ready.
I'm glad you put her on your list because I almost put her on my list too, because she recently, I watched this, like she has a routine where it's literally called the Biles, like no one else can do this combination. And she did that thing on the pommel horse. No, not the pommel horse. What's the springy one where you jump onto the thingy?
The vault.
Pole vault, not the pole vault.
That's just the vault.
Just the vault.
Yeah.
And I've been watching a lot of her highlights recently, and I'm so glad she's on there for you.
Yeah. I mean the whole team. I need the team. I don't need Simone Biles to win a bunch of gold. I need the United States.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, I like that you went team-wide, because
Yeah.
I was only thinking Simone, and I like that you broadened it, and I'm with you, and we will be rooting for that. My number 2 is if Serena Williams wins another Grand Slam.
Okay.
Because she's currently tied. She's at 23 Grand Slam titles. This is the most in the Open era, but this woman named Margaret Court before then, a long time ago, won 24. And I really want Serena to get to 24. I would love her to get to 25 so that she just like blows all the records out of the water. But I think that this country and sports fans would be so thrilled and would just rally around this in a way that there are few other things besides Tiger swinging a golf club made. Like Serena winning a Grand Slam to me is on par with a video of Tiger swinging a golf club in the amount of buzz and like discussion and excitement that it would generate.
How long has it been since Serena's won one? That's the only thing I would say.
I think the Australian Open 2 years ago.
Yeah, okay, because I think part of what factors into this is we need the comeback, you know? Like, I think Serena needs to not win for a while. This would be enough of a comeback, okay, yeah.
I think.
I think that has to factor into it, is that it's not enough for her to break the record. It's we need her to get close, feel like she's not going to do it, and then the comeback happens and she does it, and that makes it awesome. You know what I'm saying?
Her last major win was 2017 Australian Open.
That's long enough. Yeah, that's long enough. That's a good comeback then. Yeah,
unless I just read that wrong. But I'm doing my best here. So it's whatever it is, it's enough of a comeback.
Okay. All right. I like it.
Don't call it a comeback.
It has been 4 years.
Yes, that is correct. It has been 4 years. 5 years.
It'll be 5 years. Wait,
that's
2017?
Yeah, it's 2021.
So what's 21 minus 17? What the hell? Oh my god. Yikes. All right, number 2 for me.
Please go on.
Number 2 for me, I'll make it simple, the Little League World Series.
Okay.
It is quickly becoming the last bastion of true love of the game sports we have in this world. As Congress is at this moment arguing with itself over whether college athletes should be paid, and that is going to happen very soon. That college athletes are going to be paid, and as high school sports in this country are becoming monetized to an absurd level, that like high school games are on television and there are elite camps going on, and I'm not saying there shouldn't be. I'm just saying the money is trickling down to lower and lower levels, Charlotte, and you might find yourself wondering, where can I watch sports where the true love of the game still exists? Does it even exist anywhere? And I say yes. Every August in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, the Little League World Series. I love it so much. I watch it every year. It is also like a massive sporting event, at least in my life, that didn't happen last year. No one talks about it. No one talks about how we lost the Little League World Series last year, and we did. And those kids will never get that opportunity back that missed out on it. Those 12-year-olds that cycle of kids. And I think the Little League World Series, it is tentatively scheduled to happen this year. I think it's going to happen in August, and I need that in my life. I need the Little League World Series. I need kids giving up dingers to other kids and then like high-fiving the kid as he's rounding the bases.
Yes. Oh
it's a
my
good hit,
God.
man. That's this dope grand slam you just hit off of me. And you're like,
oh my God.
You have to love it. And they sell hot dogs for $1. It's free to go to the games.
Are you kidding me? They have dollar dogs?
If you go to Williamsport, I've done this before. Tickets are free.
What?
Yeah, it's like a Little League game. Yeah, it's that's why I said it's the last place on earth where they're like, we love the game of baseball. We just like.
Can we go?
We can go. It's free. The hot dogs are like $1. I think they probably still do the deal where like if you're a kid and you bring a foul ball to the concession stand, they'll give you a free popcorn. Like they do that at the Little League World Series. So. What? It's great. I can't wait.
This is my pitch. This is the cheapest sporting event that our bosses could send us to. Because you wouldn't have to feed us. We wouldn't need a food stipend. We'd just eat dollar hot dogs.
We'd just catch foul balls. And
go to give them for fun. The Little League World Series intros are one of the greatest things in all of sports. Where, it's a chubby kid who comes up and he's like, my name's Buzz, and I think farts are funny.
Yeah,
is their intro,
And they do also their tidbits when they're up to bat, and it's like, favorite book, and then it says, I don't read. And it's a kid with a mullet, and he's got his ears pierced or something.
And you're like, that checks out.
I love it. I love it.
Jimmy doesn't read. Okay, I'm about to do something that I think our producers are going to get very upset with me for, because we have graphics that are already made. It was going to be that the Suns go to the finals, because I am a Suns fan now. I am extremely excited. I'll still talk about it, so the graphic still works. I'm extremely excited about this team. I love that Chris Paul is finally on a team where he kind of, it's a younger team. He wants to be the disciplinarian or like the guy who provides structure. He's finally on a team where these guys respect that and they want that. Like Mikal Bridges said that, when CP's in the locker room early, it makes me want to be in the locker room early. Devin Booker went to a Chris Paul camp when he was growing up. He is now a bona fide superstar. This is Chris Paul's best chance to get to the finals. I want him to play in the finals. I love him. I love his State Farm commercials. I know that has nothing to do with basketball, but I think he is very funny. I just love the Phoenix Suns. They are a small market team. They haven't won a championship either. Like, what more could you want to root for, especially Miami if they end up going against the Brooklyn Nets, who are, as we've talked about, the villains of the league. This is the stuff of
and coached
sports
by
movies.
Suns legend Steve Nash.
Yes. Like, what could be more? And then you have Monty Williams, who's like the most likable coach in the league. Like, I think all of this this is the matchup that I want. This is the narrative that I want. You've got the protagonist, you've got the antagonist, you've got the narrative, you've got the stakes are high, people will watch, it's not a boring game, I'm all in. That is my number one. My other number one is the Westminster Dog Show, which is happening this weekend on Fox Sports, and I'm going to be there. And they're even putting me on television, Mark.
What the hell?
Which is hilarious because it's me, and I say things like, if you hit a home run, it means you didn't hit a single.
It means you did not hit a single. I am not happy for you at all because I am just jealous. I'm going to be honest.
If it makes you feel better, I'll go try to find the golden retriever.
Please. I want a picture of you with the gold. Did you see, by the way, speaking of dogs, that Butler Blue is going to be in a Netflix documentary about like dogs and...
Not to
Do
brag,
I need to say
but
anything else?
Did Butler Blue DM that to me himself personally? Yeah, he did, Mark.
I love that every time there's like a dog documentary made, the people putting together try to come up with an idea of why they're doing it, and it always like falls apart like halfway. They're like, this summer we're gonna do a little docu-series on dogs that work on... just like dogs that who cares? You know, like
it's
as
dog.
you're pitching it,
right.
Yeah, it's like dogs that do we really need it? Who cares? It's just gonna be a lot of footage of dogs. Just watch it.
Like everyone's gonna watch this. We don't have to put any legwork into storyboarding it. It's gonna be dog after dog after dog, and that's how I feel about the dog show. I've never been more excited for anything in my life, and I think that will save sports. Honestly,
will you please do a story on the blatant breedism, if you will, that golden retrievers face as quite possibly one of the more oppressed dog groups in these competitions. There is a long history of golden retrievers being disrespected. They have never once won like really any dog show, even though they are the goodest of boys and girls. Yeah, they never win any. I watch all these things. I get duped into watching them every single time. The golden retriever comes up. Me and Moses are going nuts. Literally barking at the TV, cheering on the Goldens, and then the guys like calling the dog show all the time are like, it's the gold. Look at the golden retriever. Everybody at home. These are the most popular dogs, and it's like the Goldens in the labs. That's what everybody has at home. They're the best dogs. Oh, everyone loves them. They are the best. Anyway, zero chance of winning our competition. Let's go over to the poodle. It's so stupid.
My favorite thing about the dog show, what I love about the dog show so much, is that you have teams. You root for dog. If you have a dog, like I have a German
Except
Shepherd.
poodles. The poodles are the Nets of the dog show. Nobody is a poodle fan. Even if you have a poodle, you're like, I kind of hate my dog. It's kind of like a cat. I got a cat of a dog over here. Like nobody's cheering for poodles, and the poodles win every single damn show. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. And the golden retrievers are like, I don't know, the Milwaukee Bucks. Like they do it the right way. They build from the ground up. They're wholesome. They're fun. They're easy to root for, and they have no shot ever. They'll never have a shot ever, because the system is rigged.
The dog show is absolutely rigged for money. Aisha Curry.
Oh my God.
Look, I relate to that, Mark. I'm a German Shepherd fan, but like that's exactly what you're saying. Like people have their dogs as they have their teams, and if you have a German Shepherd, when that dog won in 2017, I remember.
Yeah.
And so like that would still be a comeback for us. But then Goldens have never won a championship, so we're out here.
I'm gonna put that at my number one. A golden retriever wins a dog show. Literally any dog show. That's my number one. Sports are back when a golden retriever. No, my real number one. Buckle up, Charlotte. My real number one is an idea that I've thrown out on this show before, and I've thought about it more, and I realized that if this happened, this would just make it move for me in a way that it has not in a very long time. I would feel alive. I would feel young again. Okay. If on July 4th, there's still time. It is. We have to hurry, but there still might be time. If on July 4th. Travis Pastrana and David Blaine jumped out of an airplane at the exact same time and looked each other in the eye and see who could fall the farthest before they pull the parachute. This is what we need so badly. I will do anything to make this happen. I will pay any amount of money. Jim Cunningham, if you come over for that, I will buy the pay-per-view gladly. I will try to stream it. I will download whatever app I need to download. This would be the greatest television event the world has ever seen. And I want to see it so badly. And I want it. July 4th makes a lot of sense. Is that you watch the hot dog eating contest in the afternoon, and then right around like 5 or 6 p.m. Eastern, over the Grand Canyon, Travis Pastrana and David Blaine jump out at the same time and lock eyes. And they both have their hands on a parachute. And they play a game of skydive chicken.
I'm legit crying and laughing so hard. That is, first of all, that's such a deep cut. And I think it made me laugh this hard the first time you said it, but it's even funnier the second time. I should have known that your number one would be something like this. And I feel like I got outlisted because this is so
It's such a good idea.
It's so good. This is what the world needs, except that it's like the darkest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
It is like in my head it would be riveting, but what would actually happen is they would both die because neither one of them would pull the parachute, and then like
it would be horrible. It would be so awful. But assuming that they both pull the parachute, this is an amazing idea.
It's so good.
Oh man, that is.
I don't know. I want to make this happen. It's to the point now. The more I think about it, I would rather make this happen than Rosenbaum. I'm sorry to say.
Okay, what about Brad Stevens to IU? You got to choose. You can meme 3 things into existence.
That's next week's list. Next week's top 5. It's like, what
does Mark? It's not even my top 5. What I want to. It's Mark's top. We each list Mark's top 5 things he wants to meme into. Are you patting Moses right now?
I am. Yeah. You can hear that I was talking about golden retrievers.
All right. Well,
fun show. I think we did it. I think we ended on a positive note. I think that's important. Just have some of these things happen. They're going to happen. These things
I want
are
the
going
people
to
to know that it was your idea to think of good things that could happen.
I do have the reputation as being the
curmudgeon, and you're not a curmudgeon.
I'm not.
Except when you say you're a sports stylist.
I'm a sports
and you
stylist
forgot how to feel.
And the Brooklyn Nets represent everything wrong with professional sports.
But
other than that,
it's casual. Yeah, good show, man. Please email us. Tell us what the good things are that would happen. And also, if you're a Nets fan and you're mad, well, let us know.
And tell me how much money you would pay to watch David Blaine and Travis Pastrana. Like, what is the pay-per-view price?
You listed this. You put a price on this before. I think it was over 100. You said you'd pay $100.
I would pay $100. Yeah, for sure. I would 200 starts to get a little much, but I would consider it. But like 100, like I think my honest cap off would be like 150. It depends on what the undercard is. If they have like an interesting undercard, like something.
Who
else
is jumping out of this plane?
I don't know. If like Red Panda is doing a show somehow like before.
Because in my mind, the undercard is other people jumping out of a plane, playing parachute chicken.
It's like a boxing match where it's like the big boxing match, but it's like the undercard is just more boxing matches.
Okay. Here's one for you.
Skydive chicken by everybody.
You got to rank the card for this skydive chicken. You've got Travis Pastrana and David Blaine, or Johnny Knoxville versus Steve-O. Which is the top card? Which is the top match?
It's a tag team where all 4 of them jump out. Knoxville and Steve are on a team. Pastrana and Blaine are on a team, and there's only one parachute for the 2 of them, like each of them, and they have to, they're passing it back and forth.
No, the show's over. We did it. We're done. Send us emails to thepeoplesportspodcast@gmail.com. We'll see you next week. Oh, wait, sorry. One more thing. Please tweet or Instagram or email. Somehow get me pictures of your dog watching the dog show.
Oh, yeah. Good idea.
That's all I want from the people this week.
Especially if it's a golden retriever.
Or a German Shepherd.
Hey pals, thanks for watching the People's Sports Podcast YouTube channel. For more of mine and Mark's very weird rabbit holes, stick around, watch more. You can subscribe, smash that subscribe button. You know you want to. We're going to give you all the weird stuff we possibly can.